Lumos Learning is user-friendly. No software is required. Simply go to lumoslearning.com and select the Login button. Use the login information you will be given once you have an account, choose Submit, and you will be taken to either the student or teacher portal, depending upon what your login provides access for. And at this time, we're going to move into the demonstration of both portals available, Student Portal and Teacher Portal. And we're going to begin with our Student Portal. And you'll see that students have the ability, once they come in, they will be able to see our main Lumos Learning screen, and then they will type in their login information and their password. And once they are able to log into the system, students will automatically be taken to their individualized reporting dashboard. So this is as if I'm logging in as a student, and it will always have my name, so it will welcome the students to the program, and it will list the courses that the students have available to them. In this case, as a student, I might have a math course, a language arts course, and then also, at this point, the StepUp demo course. And our StepUp demo course is where we're going to focus today. We chose at this point to combine the math and the ELA questions into this demo to give you an opportunity to see the new technology-enhanced questions that our students will be able to have access to. So students come in, they select their course and now their lesson, and they can begin to practice the lesson. Students always have the choice to select a specific number of questions that they want to work on, or in this case, we'll check full-length practice tests, and they begin to practice. So we're going to begin with our math-based questions. One of the new types of questions students are going to be involved in using, according to the PARCC guidelines, are the questions that have students solve a problem and then write that answer into the box below. And for the sake of going through our demo, we're not going to worry as much about the answer, but the students would solve their problem, and if they need any help with the math, they will be able to access the calculator with the calculator's functions. They can type their problem in and then write their solution into the box. And again, another portion of PARCC's new testing is the Part A and Part B and sometimes Part C questions. And what is happening in these moments is they're asking the students to continue solving problems using information that has been repeated up at the top. And instead of repeating that information again at each part, students have to refer back to the top. And we wanted students to have that ability to practice that, so we mimicked that format when creating our test as well. So you'll see this one is a mix of types. We have where they have to write their answer in and then a multiple choice answer. And just like the PARCC test, they click the blue button to go on to the next question. The next type of question that students are going to see in some of our math tests and some of the PARCC math tests is the drag and drop, where they might have to answer a question and drag it to the box below. And again, at every question, that calculator is always available, and like PARCC, they click that blue button to go to the next question. A third type of question students are going to see in the math portion of both the PBAs and the EOIs are where they will make a choice from a drop-down menu. So in this case, they are actually going through and solving the equation, and they're looking for the sum. In other instances, they might be using the drop-down menu to choose the operation that might go in. And then they hit, again, that blue button. Students also have the ability to use what we would consider to be standard multiple choice answers when going through the math questions. And this one, again, students have the type of question where the initial information is written at the top, and they will write their answers into the boxes. Also included in PARCC this year are the Type 2 questions where students will have to write their answers in, and some of the Type 2 questions can be scored machine scoreable, and some of them can be scored through hand scoring. And so in this case, the students will be able to use the box and type in their information or their answer. And so we'll say Suzanne had more because, and then the rest of the answer could be given. This one is looking for a simple difference, so we'll type in our answer there and click the blue button for the next type. And that actually concludes our math different types of questions. You'll see we're moving into the English language arts. Now, because we chose to tie all of these into one course for respecting and honoring your time, you will see that the calculator remains up here on the top. When the students are actually accessing either a separate math course or a separate language arts course, that calculator would go away in the English language arts course. Shifting that gear into English language arts, one of the new opportunities that PARCC has given our students is to learn how to process information when it's presented on the computer screen. And many of our students, particularly our younger students, are used to reading the information on the screen and answering a question. But they're used to limiting their information to what's right here in the box. And many of them are not accustomed to having to actually scroll down through the text to complete their passage. So we wanted, again, to mimic that PARCC testing environment and give students the opportunity to practice scrolling up and down the text for that answer. In English language arts, students are going to be expected to use a common drag and drop approach for some of their questions. In this case, box 1 is labeled as Dora, box 2 is Dick, and box 3 is Father. And they're looking for the characteristic that the author describes those characters. So we will drag those in. And again, moving in then to Part B, using those same box labels, students would use the quote that best supports the word they use to describe that character. These quotes and sentences came directly from the text. And again, students will hit the blue box to move on to the next question. In this next portion, again, students have access to the passage that they can scroll through. And moving through PARCC's question formats looking at content and not just technology, PARCC wants the students to be able to look at their passage and answer questions that they're used to answering, such as, what is the theme of the passage? So they read the passage and they select the answer that they think is best. But now they also need to go one step further and use details from the story to support their answers. So they can do that then by going through and selecting that quote or sentence that comes directly from the text that best supports their answer. And then they can move on to the next question. Again, using that same passage but a different type of question is being able to answer that question. What is the theme of the passage? Again, a question that many of our students are familiar with. But now they'll have the opportunity to select two details. And again, mimicking PARCC's testing format, you will notice that when students are selecting one option, they use the radial dial. And when they select two options, it's actually the square that has a check mark next to it. So we can begin to train our students to recognize that when they see that box with the check mark, that's a hint to them that there should be more than one check mark, and to go back, check the question to see how many check marks there should be. So they move on to the next question at that point. And again, in English language arts, students are going to be expected to see both the literature and the informational text as well. And all of our texts are chosen to meet the rigor and complexity that is appropriate for each grade level. So students will select their option. And again, this one I was asking for two details because it was a square with a check mark. So they choose their two supporting details and can move to the next question. And this is our final sample of the language arts questions. In addition to simple drag and drop, where students will literally drag their answer and drop into the box. There are other times when the order of the answer is going to make a significant difference. And in this case, the question is asking for students to arrange the content in the order that it happened. So not only are they choosing the summary statements that best summarize the text, they're moving it into the specific order that it occurs. They drag those into the 3 boxes, and when they finish, just like when they submit for PARCC, they click Results, and that submits all of their answers. And as students move through that last final result submission, they are taken to the page where they are given immediate feedback on their scores and on their answers. Students can immediately see how many questions they answered correctly, how many questions they might have answered wrong. You also see that some of them will say pending, and those are referring back to the type 2 questions in the math PBAs where they are hand scored. And we went ahead and continued with this not only because it mimicked PARCC scoring, but also because it does encourage that conversation between the student and the teacher where they can discuss maybe what the student did well on the question, what the student didn't understand, and have those in-depth conversations that way. But because this is also an individualized system that we want students to be able to work at their own pace, they can also go through and come up here and click the Missed Questions button. And the Missed Questions report gives them that detailed information that says, for this question, you answered that 488 divided by 20 was equal to 655 divided by 25, when in actuality the correct answer is that it's less than. And then along with, not only do they receive that, what the correct answer is, but they also have a detailed explanation that lets them know why the answer is correct and maybe help them understand why they missed the problem that they missed. This same report comes through all the way for all the questions that they missed. You'll also see that going back to the student report, they can collect full test report, and when they select full test report, it gives that same detailed answer information for every question. Even if they have the question correct, they still receive the information and the detailed explanations, which works wonderfully for those students who answer the question, and yes, they get the question correct, but they might not fully understand the depth of why they got the question correct. They can go through and look at the detailed explanations. We'll move back in and take a quick look at the teacher portal. And the teacher portal will be able to give us the different side of what you as a classroom teacher or a school administrator might be able to see from your students as they're coming in and working. In this case, similar to the students, they come in and they log in. And once the teacher accesses their account, they are also taken to a dashboard similar to the students. And the teacher dashboard is a wealth of information in one streamlined location for the students. The first thing you'll see is that it defaults to the student reports page. Listed here is the subscribed content. This will be the content and the courses that your teachers or schools will have access to. So the teachers can select a course, and in this case we're going to look at the grade 5 mathematics, and this might be a course that you subscribe to. And the teachers can come in, they can see specifically the end-of-year assessments, the performance-based assessments, along with every online workbook that is aligned to every standard that's listed. So say your students go through the PBA and you realize that they need help in place value, and you want to see what kind of questions Lumos has available in that workbook. You can select the place value workbook, and once it comes up, you will be able to go through the workbook, see the questions, the answers, the detailed explanations, And then you will also be able to have the ability to highlight this link that's listed here, copy and paste it onto a Blackboard session, onto your school webpage, your teacher blog. You can stick it in an email, and you can assign this course to your class for homework or for them to work on their own independent practice. So when the students get the link from their teacher, they click on the link, they sign in, and they are immediately taken to the workbook where they can begin working through that content. The next thing on the teacher dashboard is the student reporting. And student reporting, you can see here, will list the individual student names, what courses that student has assigned. So in this case, we're going to look at Nora Jones. And Nora has 3 different courses assigned to her, and she's attempted several lessons in each of her courses. You can get a little bit more in-depth information by clicking and selecting the specific course, and then you can see that your student, Nora, has attempted the first PBA. There's one that is pending to be graded. That was one of the hand-graded portions of a Type 2 question. And then again, if you want even more detailed information, you can click that link and you can go through and see which questions Nora answered correctly, which questions Nora missed, and begin to offer her some guidance as well. Then going back to the dashboard, the next feature on the dashboard is our school reports. School reports, we're currently in the process of populating this data, and you will see that we have 5 states that we're using the public data for right now, and we're consistently adding more data that will give the information as to how the schools have been doing on standardized testing in that area. The next tab that teachers have available to them through the teacher portal are the education blogs. And the education blogs are updated at least once a week, usually twice a week. And they are a wealth of information for the teachers to be able to go through and monitor timely trends, for schools to be able to see what's going on nationally, sometimes locally what's going on. All of our blogs are written by teachers certified in the classroom or currently working with curriculum design and curriculum focus. So they're very familiar with the content that's coming through. And the last and final tab is the Common Core State Standard tab. And this one just allows you to be able to access or point in the direction for your students or your parents all of the Common Core standards in one streamlined location, very easy to use. So that kind of concludes our demonstration, and we'll jump back over here very quick. Lumos Learning has been creating supplemental materials since 2007, and over the years we have worked to build a rigorous database of thousands of questions, all aligned to the Common Core State Standards. These questions have been developed by highly qualified teachers familiar with both the Common Core State Standards and more recently the PARCC testing guidelines. Our online program is student and teacher friendly and allows all primary users to work together well to increase a student's chance of academic success. Between the online StepUp portals, TED books, and our mobile application, Lumos Learning stays true to our core value of supporting anytime, anywhere learning for students.